You finally have a full weekend dedicated to working on your artistic projects, but somehow by Sunday night, you're looking back on it and asking yourself why you didn't get what you wanted to get done. You're disappointed in yourself, feel like you had all of this time to work on it, and friend, it is not your fault at all. It's actually a law that makes it pretty impossible for any of us to get anything done when we know there really isn't an end time to it. Time limits are the container you have been craving, and it might sound cringe, but I promise you can make these fun, romantic, and a beautiful part of your creative work if you just listen. Welcome back to Violet Gaze. I am Kira, so happy you're here. And if you love breaking down the brain, the psychology of what it's like for you to be an artist so you can pursue all of your most wildest dreams that you've been planning and musing on since you were a little kid, feel free to hit subscribe. I'm a performing artist. You might be a performing or a visual artist. Either way, you are welcome here, and we're here to make your life just as dreamy as possible so you can do all of what you wanted to do and more. If that sounds like a vibe, then hit subscribe. If you have been on this channel for a while, then you know that the past few videos I've been talking about how I have been burned out. I stopped posting on this channel for several months, and I also stopped writing music for several months because I was just trying to do everything, specifically with YouTube. What ended up taking me only what used to be like an hour and a half to edit, then became 2 hours, then became 3, 4, 5. And all of a sudden I was like, well, I don't have any time to edit YouTube videos, so I just need to stop posting. The same thing happened with our music. We just felt like we had to keep putting more and more things on top of it and keep perfecting it. I had to really take a step back and ask myself, what do I really want with music? Now, both of those breaks were totally fine. I think that having breaks as a creative is an amazing part of the process. Although it can feel like we have FOMO, we see other people on social media moving forward, and that taking a break means we're stepping back. It doesn't look like we're tangibly doing output, but it really is one of the best and most helpful times to reflect on what's working and what's not. I remember my acting teacher had said that in between first year and second year, the majority of the students would say that their biggest breakthroughs happened then, when they were taking a step back, when they were able to actually look at it from an outside perspective and see their growth. And that's the same for you. I had to ask to see if this was an actual thing because I knew that there was some concept of the fact that with the time that we're given, we as people are going to fill it. I think I learned this when I was reading A 4-Hour Work Week. If you're given 8 hours to complete a certain task, you are going to fill up those 8 hours. Now, on the days that you have to leave early to pick up a kid or go to a doctor's appointment, somehow magically you're able to get all the work done in 4 hours. And that's not because you have less work. It's because now you know that you only have 4 hours, so you're more focused, you're more intentional with your time. So this whole concept is called Parkinson's Law. And it basically explains that work expands to fill the time available for its completion. So us as artists, if we are told that we have an entire weekend to write music, then we are going to take an entire weekend to write music. And somehow by the end of the weekend, we're going to feel like we just didn't complete enough. This is exactly what was happening with me and my YouTube channel, with me and my songwriting, that I really didn't have any time frames around it. For YouTube, like I was saying, I started saying, I got to edit this video. And what became an hour and a half then became 4 to 5 hours. And all of a sudden, I wasn't able to edit videos. I didn't have enough time in the day because I didn't give myself a time limit. I didn't say by the end of this time it needs to be done. For songwriting as well, Static and I would just kind of say Thursdays are our songwriting days, and maybe we would start at 4, and then we just trailed off until who knows when. So the first thing I want you to ask yourself is, have you been setting time limits for yourself? And if you haven't, then that's why we're here today. That's why we're talking about this, because I'm inviting you to start introducing that into your creative work. Now, you might be thinking, creativity needs space. Creativity needs the ability to go off on a tangent and maybe go past that time frame. And I understand that. But if we don't have that boundary set at the beginning, we're never quite aware of what that guardrail is. Guardrail being when you're driving up a mountain and you have these metal things basically showing you, hey, there is a ledge here, so I'm going to show you where it's best for you to stop driving. The way that we drive up mountains, if there aren't guardrails, Imagine how afraid you'd be. Imagine how slowly you'd be driving, knowing that there isn't anything to catch you before you could potentially drive off the cliff. We feel a lot more freedom when we have guardrails driving up a cliff because we know that we have levels of protection to make sure that we don't go out of bounds. Time limits are the same thing. So I want to tell you some tips and tricks for adding time boundaries to your creative work so you don't feel squashed and you don't feel not creative, over controlled. Because the reason why we are artists, visual and performing artists, is because we don't want to live that life. We don't want to have a 9-to-5 where we have to work at the same time every single day for multiple years. We want our lives to look and feel different every single day. We want our creative work to have ebbs and flows. In no way do I want you to think that adding time limits to anything is going to threaten that, because it won't. The first thing that I talk about on so many different levels of creativity and artistry is ritualizing, setting the scene. I have been doing this thing where I turn on these twinkle lights when it is time for me to work every day. And because I work from home, my entire house is pretty much also my office. And because I don't like rules and I don't like people telling me what to do, sometimes I want to work on the couch or in the bed or in the kitchen. What I do, even though I have been leaning more into working here because I've been filming more videos, is I will turn these lights on to signify like it is the start of the day. It is the start of work. Static makes us smoothies every morning. I will light my soul space incense, and that will basically signify, okay, it is the start of the day. Now, that doesn't have to mean for me like, okay, as soon as I light these, I have to get started on XYZ. No, it's a gentle ritual. That's why I call it a ritual. I'm not saying a routine. I'm not saying you have to wake up every day at 4 a.m. If that sort of routine works for you, then great. But I think a lot of us artists can get really overwhelmed by like those books and those habits that make us have to do the same thing every day. Rituals they're mystical. They're a nudge. They're warm. They're not this cold, harsh teacher telling you, the school bell is dinging and you have to start doing this. It's more of like an invitation of, okay, now we've created this space where you can be creative. Me turning on the lights doesn't mean every time I turn on the lights, I have to film a YouTube video, or every time I turn on the lights, I have to start working. It's just a gentle invitation of, the day started. It's like the sun is up. That doesn't necessarily mean just because the sun is up, you have to go outside. It just means, okay, it's the mark of a new day. It's unbiased. It's unemotional. It's a gentle part of your day. This ties so much into how I believe all of us can be living our lives to truly love even the times that we're shooting for a specific artistic goal. I want to get cast on a TV series like Girls. That's my most recent like obsession. I just finished the series and I'm like, oh my gosh, if I could be on a TV series like Girls with other women who are so fun, and you can tell that Lena Dunham has created like such a collaborative, improvisational, fun space, that would be a dream. Right now, I'm not doing that, but that doesn't mean that I can't ritualize every single day, romanticize where I'm at, enjoy the fact that I love talking to you right now, that I have beautiful twinkle lights, that I love the color of my walls. All of this ties into setting the scene, romanticizing what you can, ritualizing the start of things. Even if that's, hey, before we get started on songwriting, let me brew some tea for both of us. Living in a home that's well designed is artistry. And as you create boundaries and routines for yourself, as you become more invested in your work and your work starts giving back to you financially, I always want you to remember that doing the little things and ritualizing the little moments every single day, just as a unbiased reminder of the work that you're doing, can be the biggest difference. It's a no expectation space too. Turning on lights and brewing tea, it's not like checking into a job and saying, this is what I'm going to get done I have to get this done today. I'm going to show you a prompt also later in this video that has helped me so much. It is not about expectations. It's celebrating the input, not the output. We'll talk more about that later. And I know you might be thinking like, wow, the lights have nothing to do with that, but it really does. And I think you actually know that as an artist, the little things help us remind ourselves like why we're doing this. I have this water bottle. Like, I drink out of it every single day. It basically matches my walls. It's my favorite color. And it's just a reminder that I am allowed to love the little things in life. I am allowed to remember that even though I have goals where I wish I might be in the future and I'm not there yet, I still have things in my life right now that I enjoy. And I can use those to my advantage, not only because I have twinkle lights, why the heck not use them, but I can use them to infuse it into my artistic process so I can remember that this is all one. The life I'm living right now is connected to the dreams that I'm going to have in the future. It's all the same. It's all in the same line. It's a timeline. We're not jumping to like, I'm going to go live this person's reality right now. When I am in that TV series like Girls, it's going to be on the same timeline as where I'm at right now. And I want to get in the practice of ritualizing every single thing every single day so that when I do hit those goals, I continue doing that. I continue turning on the twinkle lights because I have them. I continue having a water bottle that I like because I love it. Using things in your environment to help you create a space for that, a cozy space, or just a little nod of, okay, we're in this zone now, without shame, without expectations, can be like that little environmental nudge. It's bringing you into a world. It's just like being an artist. You're creating a world for other people. You want to bring yourself into a world every time you make space to create or just live. So set the scene. How can you set the scene in your everyday life? What can you do in your environment? Is it really designing a space that makes you feel inspired and then turning on the lights and lighting the candle? I think a lot of people like buy candles and they don't light them, or they have twinkle lights, but then they're like, I don't want to light it because I don't want to use up electricity. Use the things that you have. Now is the time to live as if you have that goal. What would you do if you had everything you've ever wanted right now? How would you be drinking water? Would you be drinking it out of a plastic container, or would you be drinking it in your favorite bottle? Would you wake up and turn on the twinkle lights and open up the windows and play the music? How can you invite the manifestations in today with no expectations, no pressure? Ritualize, romanticize the now, because that's going to help you get used to doing that when you do achieve those dreams. And it's going to make you feel more inspired. We're artists. We're influenced by colors and vibe and smells, the five senses. The more we can trigger that and put ourselves into a space of feeling good physically, the more we're able to then feel like we can be ourselves. And when we're being ourselves, we can create the best art possible. That's where it all comes from, us. Getting a little bit more strategic, calendar-wise, time-wise. It's really as simple as set a time limit for the work you're doing. I'll tell you what I do. Every single morning, I have a 5-minute prompt, a 5-minute journal. And I was told about this 5-minute journal. It is not original. I was told it from Pia Silva, who I'm in a program with her right now, building my studio, Studio Violet. I do it every single morning, and it is so helpful. And I'm going to tell you what the questions are. Now, this is a huge part of inviting that no judgment, no bias, and we're not focusing on output first. We're focusing on input and intention. The first question is, what is your vision? What are 1 to 2 sentences about what you're working towards? Now, this can be anything. Like mine, it changes a little bit every day, but ultimately it is some sense of like, I want to perform and create art as much as possible with the people I love in spaces I love. Now, it's funny because sometimes when I journal this, like based on something that happened yesterday, I was anxious about money the other day. And so mine was a little bit more leaning in on, I want to be financially abundant and creatively abundant so that I can do what I want and not have to be stressed out. But it was still centered around the same thing that I talk about every single day. Like I want to perform, I want to create, I want to collaborate, I want to be with good people, with good food and good vibes and good spaces. But it's funny, and I would love for you to see like how that changes for you, but how it's consistent every day. The second one is, why do you care about this, and why is this so important? So that lets us go a little bit deeper into, okay, well, why do I want to perform for you? Like, why do you want to make art every single day if that's your vision? Why do you want to have a big, beautiful home? All of this is no bias, no judgment, no shame. I know that's so weird to say because I feel like when we're asked things from our family members, from our teachers, from people in our lives, either we're projecting a little bit of judgment onto them or they might be judging a little bit, you know, like as artists, I'm sure there's people who've been in your lives constantly questioning why you're doing what you're doing. They just don't quite understand the world that you're creating for yourself and the process. Like I have family members and friends who are like, oh, well, I don't want you to give up on music and I don't want you to give up on this. And I'm like, no, it's just I'm focusing on something else right now. For them, it sounds like I'm giving up, but I know my process and other artists know my process, but it can feel very like alienating when it sounds like I'm giving up on something. If this is an experience you've had, let me know in the comments, because I think all of us have had this experience from people who are just non-creative and they don't quite understand what it's like to be an artist who fully will not accept anything other than being a full-time artist. Like I will not accept any other reality other than me doing art and performing and any type of performing artistry full-time. That's not my reality. And I know that's not yours either. So let me know in the comments if that's something that triggers you, if that's something that comes up. I wrote this morning, being financially abundant will allow me to be more creative and invest in myself as an artist. And I will always invest in myself and my artist because I know I'm worth betting on. So that's my why, because the financial abundance part of it is something that was really coming up the other day. You might be wondering, what does this have to do with time blocking? But this is an amazing start of every single day so that you know exactly what to focus on. So here are the next two questions. And by the way, if you're enjoying this, feel free to hit subscribe. I would literally love to see you every single day. There's so much more coming in this channel. And I am just so grateful that there are other artists like you who are in the performing arts and the visual arts that feel like they need a friend who helps them not feel alone. So my third question, this goes into time boundaries, because before we can even set time boundaries every single day, we need to know what we want to focus on. And we need to focus on it, not in a, oh my God, I need to do this, but anti-shame, anti-have to, anti-necessity, anti-fear. What are things you did yesterday that are business and non-business related? I wrote, I finished Girls. I watched the entire series of Girls within the past month. I sent a YouTube video. I edited my website so my new shop, My Embed, is on it. Business and non-business related things. Completely unbiased. You see, I mixed a combination of it. It could be really anything. And then the last question, which when it comes to time blocking and creating boundaries, this is where it all comes together. What are 1 to 3 things you're going to work on today that's going to move the needle forward in your vision in a big picture way? So like going back to that first question, if my vision was, I want to be financially and artistically abundant so I can live a life with as much creativity, curiosity, collaboration, and performing as possible. That was my first question. What are 1 to 3 things I'm going to work on today to further that vision? Now I'm going to break down the things that I know I want to get done today. I wrote, record YouTube video and start editing. I'm doing that. Yay. Record podcast. Work on emails and a group coaching call that I'm on. Now, the great thing about this is there is no question on this. This is the last question. There's no question on this about what didn't you get done yesterday? Because the thing is, I might not record the podcast today. I might not work on the emails today, but tomorrow I'm going to be doing the exact same questions here, and there's going to be no shame attached to it. I'm going to say, what are the things I accomplished yesterday? And I'm going to list out, I recorded a YouTube video, and I'm not going to list out what I didn't do because I could put that in there tomorrow. So what the heck does this have to do with creating time boundaries? Because this is going to be then how you know what you want to get done today. From there, it's really as simple as just going on your Google Calendar and wherever you want to put down like tasks or time blocks, you can just put it out there. There are people who will go into their Google Calendars and they will time block every single second of their day. They'll put a recurring time block every Monday from 1 to 3 to do outreach and this time to this time. That might work for you. For me, it doesn't. I think for artists, it just doesn't. Like I like doing that in the morning. And even then, sometimes time blocking things is helpful for me. Sometimes it's not. This can be a combination. You can put tasks in your calendar. You can write down tasks in your notes app so you can access it on your computer and on your phone. You can have a cute little Asana board or a Notion board where you can customize it and have little tasks. Whatever works for you. I'm not here to make a video about like how to set time blocks, because you know how to do that. You just say, I'm going to work on songwriting for 2 hours. What I'm telling you is the psychology behind it, the reframe and the attitude and the perspective that I want you to have going into it, because that is everything. This can ebb and flow. This is an anti-stress, pro-creativity, pro-excitement, Pro-Zenergy, aka Zen energy. We want it to be really relaxing, but we also want to be excited about it. And if there's any part of this time blocking that's causing you anxiety, then you need to take a step back and do something different, because anxiety and artistry are not going to work together. Anxiety and artistry do not intermingle well. And that might be the relationship that you usually have with time blocking and time, because there are so many channels out there that are all about like speed and output. I want you to focus on the intention, not the output. If you just realize that 5-minute journaling, maybe I should have like a branded name, but it's also not mine. Like I don't want to take it. But also, I feel like 5-minute journaling, it could be cuter. I always just want to make things cuter. Oh my gosh. Anywho, what can we do to focus on the intention that we're putting behind the work that we're doing so that when we do time block, it works? Let's just go back to the example at the beginning. We said we wanted to give ourselves a weekend to write music, and then it's Sunday night and we're like, oh my gosh, I didn't work on that. Well, that's because giving yourself 2 full days to get something done is going to make you fill those 2 full days with unintentional kind of this or that work. What if you said, I'm going to give myself 2 hours on Saturday and not even focus on Sunday. Don't even focus on Sunday yet. It's Friday. You have the weekend free. You can do whatever you want. You say, you know what? Tomorrow on Saturday, I'm going to give myself 2 hours. You don't even have to plan when the 2 hours is going to be. You can do your 5-minute journaling on Saturday morning and then decide when you want to do it and how you feel. Because remember, we are artists. We are handcrafting our own lives and days. We're not letting anyone else do it. You then decide, okay, what 2 hours do I want to spend? Do I feel inspired now? Do I want to watch a show? Do I want to do it later? And then in those 2 hours, you say, I'm going to spend these 2 hours on whatever I want to spend it on as far as songwriting. Maybe I've been wanting to learn a little bit of guitar, and maybe a few minutes into it, you're like, you know what? Songwriting would be so much easier if I learned a few guitar chords. So you look up some guitar chords, and by the end of the 2 hours, you've learned 5 chords. That is incredible. You do your 5-minute journaling the next day on Sunday. You reflect on how you learn these chords, and maybe you reflect on what you're going to do that day. And now you can plan and you have some time. You say, well, you know what? I'm going to spend 2 hours today, but now that I know guitar chords, I'm going to do a few variations. Maybe 30 minutes into the 2 hours, you then have a song and you're starting to think about it and you're starting to work with someone else on it, and it develops into something so much more. Think about the amount of things that you got done within those 4 hours compared to if you just gave yourself the entire day sitting around being like, I have the day and I don't know what to do. It's more pressure now because you gave yourself way too much time. You're going to fill it with BS and you're going to feel like a total failure by Sunday night. And hey, who's to say that on Saturday you weren't feeling so inspired that you wanted to go over those 2 hours a little bit, and now you're working on it for maybe a few hours over, but you feel so inspired and you have a freaking finished song by the end of the weekend. So much more efficient and, more importantly, so much more intentional and heart-centered. Oh my gosh, my necklace was tucked in this whole time. I'm sad. This is not a space to tell you how to time block. You just do it. You give yourself a few hours to do something, or if it's like checking emails, give yourself 30 minutes. This is the other thing. Like, it doesn't take a genius to really just estimate like, okay, how much time am I going to want to do something? Maybe I'm going to want like 2 hours for songwriting. Maybe I have to do this annoying little task that's going to take 5 minutes. So let me give myself 20 minutes just in case it runs over. You know how to estimate time. You know how to say, okay, I don't want to give myself 20 minutes to write music because that's nothing. What I want you to do is adjust the relationship between creating boundaries for your art, because hopefully by now you can realize that boundaries can actually set your creativity free. Boundaries is something that you can control. And it's something I always say on this channel is only focus on the things you can control. Like, as much as we want to say, I want to have a record out by September, the creative process says a lot of times we really can't control that. But what we can control is, I'm going to give myself 2 hours on Saturday to work on that music. If you want to focus a little bit more on really what to measure as an artist, you can totally watch the next video, and that's going to help you lay it out a lot more. Let me know in the comments if this is something that you're excited to try or you've tried already. And as usual, stay inspired, stay creative, and I will see you next time, friend. Bye.